Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Algebra 2, Chapter 2, Section 2.5 in this book, Correlation of Best Fitting Lines. Now, so we're going to talk about, you'll notice there's not much on the board. How this is done has changed since the late 80s when I was doing it. So, if you have science data, then you don't get a nice little line like we do with a math equation. You get points. And sometimes you can tell that those points have a trend, and this one has a positive slope, so it would be a positive correlation. This one seems to have a negative trend, so it's a negative correlation. And this one, the points are just everywhere, so there's no correlation. Always beware of people blinding you with data and trying to manipulate you. I have a bunch of videos about that in pre-algebra. Alright, so there's a couple of things with this that we used to do and then what we do now. But before that, let me explain to you these ideas here that I have and that was reminding me. One is the things we do in science is we do not usually connect the dots like that. Instead, what we do is we try to get the best fitting lines, and you draw a line somewhere in the middle. You try to go through as many points as you can with a straight line and then have the same number on both sides of the line. It is called interpolation. It's fancy science for guessing somewhere in the middle. So you just sort of guess somewhere in the middle and make your line. And there's no line there. Now then, the other thing that they will do is they will take a line and then guess that it's going to continue on the same trend, and that's called extrapolation. And instead of saying guessing what we don't have data to support, it sounds much more of a sure thing and sciencey to call it extrapolation. But often it's wrong. Say if you were looking at videotape sales, and this would be the 1990s, and this is where they think it's going to be selling in 2020. Are we selling videotapes anymore? Nope. All the blockbusters went out of business. So sometimes this extrapolation is just wrong. So watch out for it. The other thing is we used to spend a lot of time in physics where we would get the slope of this line. We would figure it out so precisely with our rulers. Guess what? We don't do that anymore. Now we use our calculator. Well, in high school physics a lot, we use our calculator. We put the data into the calculator, and we do what it teaches you to do on page 107, which is called a linear regression. You type in all the data to your calculator, you select linear regression, and it will tell you the equation of the line. Bada bing, bada boom, that easy. And so this is a really, and then the other thing is, before I get there, the other thing is in science class, a lot of times now we put the data in computers. Now in your high school science, you'd probably use your TI-84, maybe even in college science. But when you get to be a real scientist, you're going to put this data in computers, and the computer's making the graph. No more of the doing it with the ruler like I did in the late 80s. Now the other thing is, linear regression is one of the most important things you're going to learn to do on your calculator. Not because you're going to be using it much for science or making lines out of data like this. You're going to use it when you're given two different points and you have to get the equation for the line. It will do it with just 2 points. And not only linear regressions, but you're going to learn how to do lots of other regressions. And you need to, because this will save you so many times on the SAT, the ACT, and in college tests and college exams. So super important that you know how to use 2 points and do a regression when you are told what the shape's going to be. Super, super important. So that's all I've got to say about that. Because this isn't the late 80s anymore, it's 2020, we're embracing our calculator. Do that calculator lab. And then I want you to make sure that you're good at it, and then you can practice, you can use your calculator on your homework for this section. Because it's 2020, we're embracing the present here. Math is great.